Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Writing Visual Studio Extensions with Matt. That's me. And as usual, we got our multi-talented producer sitting in the background, Mr. James. Hello, James.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you. It's been so long. I like how you're like as normal, but actually like semi-normal. I don't know. I think we're back to normal. I feel like we had build. We had a lot of things happening at work, some life stuff. And now we got everyone back. We got Jan back. We got Surly Dev back. Everyone's back. People from Warsaw. Everyone's all over the place. I've been missing you, buddy. It's been too long.
I totally agree. And I've been missing this. This is my favorite day of the week. Like doing this show, hanging out with you, James, hanging out with everybody. That's my jive. This is where I want to be.
This is why he comes to work. It's for all of you.
Yeah, exactly. And what is it? It's like 3 weeks since our last episode. Is that right?
It has been
2 weeks off.
Has been a while. Yeah, basically everyone was off last week because of build, and then we had some other time off, and it'd be crazy. I love build. I was enjoying watching. I presented a little bit less this year, but I got to watch a lot more. So I watched all the .NET stuff, all the Power Platform stuff, all the Visual Studio stuff. Did you watch Hanselman and Friends episode of? I'm going to call it. It's not. Maybe it's an episode of Friends or Seinfeld style production.
I did not, and I need to go watch it. I heard good things.
Oh, it's glorious. I love it because, you know, with a pre-record like that, it's either go all in or don't go all in. And they went 185%. It was fantastic. So,
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't watch so much. I had like a couple of sessions, and as soon as they were over, I left for vacation. So I needed to relax. So I kind of put some distance to the whole thing really quickly. And unfortunately, there was no extensibility stuff at build. It's been a couple of builds since we've had that. I think that should be the goal. That should be the goal. Next build or Ignite or some big conference, we should have extensibility front and center. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I think so too. The other thing we've been talking about too a little bit, you and I were talking about it, is doing some like deep dive videos just on the YouTube, like plan it ahead of time, whether it's live or some on-demand sessions, like, you know, here's some stuff in and around build, you know, or in and around Ignite or other things like that. So yeah, pretty excited about it, but I'm excited that you're back.
Yes, I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to see everybody. And, you know, today we have like, we have an interesting topic, and topic is documentation, which, you know, is extremely boring. I think, you know, apologies to everyone who loves documentation. I love reading documentation when I need documentation, but producing documentation is not necessarily the most fun thing in the world. At least not compared to doing some coding, right? It's more fun. So this episode, we're going to kind of talk a little bit about documentation because it is important, and it is something that is lacking when it comes to extensibility. But I also have like just some updates on various different things. I've been playing around with Visual Studio 2022 from an extensibility point of view. I'm not allowed to show it to you, unfortunately. I would have. But I asked, and I was told, no, wait till the first preview lands, and then I can show it live. And so, okay. And I did like one of those sad face smileys, but you know that didn't help. They still was steadfast in saying no. There's a sort of an NDA kind of thing going on. Can't show anything. All right, but I can tell you about it though, so I will, and I can take questions. So if you have questions about what it means to build the extensions in 2022. As it is right now in the, you know, preview or whatever that is not out yet because it's not done yet, then we can talk about that. Okay, so where to begin? So let's start with the toolkit, the Community.Visual Studio Toolkit. This thing right here, right? The NuGet package is all wonderful. So, yeah, thanks, James. So let's do, let's just not zoom in on, yeah, let's do that again. So I've been using it, and I've been absolutely loving using this thing. It surprises me over and over again at how fantastic it is to use the toolkit relative to the sort of just the Visual Studio SDK. So I've been working on more stuff internally to see if we can get, more sort of official approval of this. And I have a meeting next Friday with some of the higher ups on if we can get some sort of official story for this. And so I hope that I can report something back next week there. So I'm looking forward to hearing what sort of our directors have to say when they see what we got so far. And I want to show you some of the updates that we do have since last time. So things are going well with the toolkit. Let's see here. So if we go back and look at this view, sorry, James, I'm like taking over the producing role here.
It's cool. I'll just keep writing emails. No big deal.
Hey, was there a story time thing you had up there?
I did. Yeah, just a little story time.
You should let me know because I need the pipe for the story time.
That's true. It was an unofficial story time.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple of new things that happened. So I've been moving our template pack. I've been moving different things into the V6 community org. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 repos in the V6 community. And the one of them is docs. Okay. So here's docs. I call it a cookbook. And look at this, v6cookbook.com. Are you ready? I have it open over here. I'm going to show you what the docs look like. You can play along. Go to v6cookbook.com and you get to see this. So v6cookbook.com. It's basically a markdown site. It's actually hosted on GitHub Pages, but the custom domain, I bought the domain for like $6 and $6.50 or something for a year. So that was pretty cheap, and pointed that at the GitHub Pages. And what's really cool, I think, is I'm borrowing some things from VS Code, how they do their documentation. And that's basically what we have here. VS Code, and also there's other, what did I look at? Oh yeah, look at Leslie. She had like a document saying, hey, here's what our documentation should look like. Leslie is the PM for Visual Studio Extensibility. So one of them should be getting started. So basically, this is how to write extensions, like how to get started. Install Extensibility workload and install Extensibility essentials. Okay. So we are setting people up from the beginning here with the Extensibility essentials, which gives them all the templates they need. So when they go to write their first extension, they're going to create one based on the V6 project with command, the community template, right? Which means they're using the toolkit because that's what's used and referenced from the project template as a NuGet package. And so the idea is like, how do we get someone started writing extensions that has either never done it before or done it in the past but failed because it was too hard to get started? So that's the whole idea of this section of getting started guides. It has basic stuff. It's got like code samples. It's got screenshots. It's got everything you want. Everything you want and more, I'd say, maybe. And so getting started, then it goes into explain a little bit about, the anatomy of an extension. I feel like this is something where we could elaborate a little bit more. And then finally, like useful resources. What is things that are good to know when you're like new to extension writing? There's some good links. How to search for help. Here's a glossary, like what do things mean? What are the definition of these words that we use over and over again? And so the idea of the getting started is basically that. So what I need to do is to have a group of people that have never done extensions before or done so but failed in the past or whatever, and trying this getting started guide. I really want this to be as easy as it possibly can be, right? And by the way, as I said, this is all here on the docs. So docs, you see, getting started. Here these are just markdown files. Markdown, right? You can just edit it directly. But another thing you can do is that you can go in here to, if you when you're on V6 Cookbook, at the bottom of every page, there's one that says edit this page. You click that, and boom, it takes you right in to this. If you were signed in, which I'm not because I'm on like a guest profile in Edge, then you can click this edit button right here. Boom. And then you can just, okay, I clicked it and now it wants me to sign in. And then you can just edit the raw markdown. So you don't even have to fork the project to make edits, add things and whatnot. So that's super helpful. So if anyone wants to contribute, if anyone wants to add some stuff, fix some typos, whatever it might be, whatever comfort level you've got, this would be really good to get some help. Another one is like, if you go through and you find that, it's hard to understand, there's missing information, then open issues. If you don't know the answer to how to make it better or whatever, then you don't have to like change the markdown yourself. Just open a bug and then I'll take a look, right? Okay, so that was the getting started. Super important to onboarding new people that want to extend Visual Studio. The next one is sort of walkthroughs, or I guess if we want to stick to the cookbook metaphor, these could be recipes. Actually, that's what I called it originally. Maybe I should call it, rename it back from walkthroughs to recipes. Let me know what you think in the comments. But this is basically where we're going to say, okay, how do you do certain scenarios? Okay, so explain menus and commands. You see here, this is kind of short. So a lot of information here is needed to be added, right? There's nothing here about key bindings, for instance. That would make sense. How do you theme Visual Studio UI? So that's in here now. That was actually a bug that was created by someone so I added it that way. Settings and options. And these are all like using the toolkit. Notifications. How do we do all this stuff? This is all using the toolkit. And what else do we have? Error handling. How do we show error handling? Yeah, it's all here.
We're getting some good feedback here. A lot of people like recipes. Surly, Godek, Surly again. Jan likes walkthroughs. Tutorials are also fine. Quick starts, depends. Recipe in Xamarin days, back in my day, in Xamarin, we used to have recipes, which is here's how to do something. It's very short. So it's a recipe to me is like, you think of a recipe, it's like, here's the ingredients ahead of time. Here are the things to do. It's not explaining to you everything. It's like, here's the minimal. It fits into the cookbook thing. Joseph also says here, which is good. Question MZG was asking, what did you use for the website to compile it?
Yes, this is Jekyll. So GitHub Pages uses Jekyll. And so this is Jekyll. So it's actually super duper easy to compile and run. So if you go and clone the docs repo, then all you have to do, and I'm a fool because I didn't add how to contribute, how to actually get this. I should add that to README, how to do it. But basically what you do, you install Jekyll, which is super easy. It's just MSI installer or whatever. And then in the docs here, you just run. There's supposed to be a CMD file somewhere. Oh, here, run site CMD. So what this file does is kind of simple here. Let me zoom in. It starts Jekyll and put a watch on it. And then it also installs .NET Serve Global Tool, which will host it on your local host, pop up the browser on localhost and serve the site. So, and you have .NET already if you have the latest Visual Studio. So all you need is to install Jekyll. And then just run this, and boom, you can test your stuff locally. So that's kind of simple. It's my first time dealing with Jekyll static site generator, so that's cool. I like that. I actually enjoyed that a lot. I thought that was a great experience. Okay. So, and publishing, the checklist moved over here. I don't know if you remember, but the checklist was on a gist. One of my, hey James, do you say gist or gist? Did we talk about this already?
I say gist, but it is, or I say gist, but it is a gist. I'm pretty sure. I do say gist.
Okay. So we talked about this last time, maybe?
We did. I'm pretty sure I've been saying it wrong forever. So
okay. So I moved that in here. So we have that in the central location, right? So that's right here. There's nothing here yet. These are all to be the community. Here's some API references. It could use a little love, but so this is the idea. This breakout of, okay, here's how to get started, and then here's some recipes for specific scenarios. And so we want to make sure we fill out the scenarios and they're as well written as they possibly can be, so that they're easy to understand, easy to follow. And also, if there's any things that are missing, then feel free to either add an empty page, like something in the menu or whatever, or open a bug on it and say, hey, can we have a recipe for whatever it is that you think is relevant. And I think when it comes to this type of documentation, I think we don't want to go too much into like nitty-gritty detail. It's kind of a hard balance. I think there are situations where we really want to go and know like what's under the hood and super detailed on specific services and whatnot that we use. I feel like, however, that is a little bit the responsibility of the official docs, and that we should keep it at a little bit of a higher level on this website here. I mean, eventually we want the content here to go into the official docs, right? But I feel like we don't have to go in and be super descriptive on like a specific service, like IVS, whatever it might be, right? I don't think we need to go in and talk about that specifically. I think we should keep it to like scenarios that you want to perform. So it's like, here's how to do X. And it's more like, eventually you can just kind of plug and play. You can say, okay, getting started, create a new extension. And then you say, okay, and I want to add a progress indicator. How do I do that? And then you just read that recipe and you copy that stuff in, and now you've added that to your project. So more like in that vein, if that makes sense. I'm curious to what you think about that. Yeah, so that's that. And because we have that, I also added some samples. So I have added samples, and right now there's two. These are just projects in here, so you can open them. There is one solution containing multiple projects. So keep it kind of nice that way. You can just open one solution and see how everything is implemented across these samples. So, and I think that would be kind of nice, a sample for how to use the toolkit. I think we should have one thing on the toolkit itself, and that is we need like references, like what extensions do they use the toolkit. I think that's gonna get a lot of people sort of maybe convinced that it's production ready or whatnot. So I already run a bunch of my extensions on it, but I should have, here's a bunch of things. I should add that to the README here, who uses it, and then we can all just send a pull request with, hey, add my project GitHub repo to it. And I think that would be a great idea, because then you also have references. So if you want to see how other people use the toolkit, you can go see that, right? And so, and Jan says his extensibility log uses it, so that's great.
There's a good question from Godek was asking, you have everything documented here for the toolkit docs, but not on the official docs. Can you talk about why? I know why. I'll see if my thinking of why agrees with your why.
Well, as it is right now, the toolkit is not an official Microsoft thing, right? And it's literally in the name. It's a community toolkit. So what if we decide not to just leave it as it is right now, and no one picks it up, and it's dead in the water, and we just put all the things in the official docs? Like, they're now pointing to a dead project. So that's one of the reasons I want to have that. We have that sync up next week with the directors, is to figure out how do we kind of make this a little bit more official, so that we can do these things, so that we can move this in. I just bought the domain, v6cookbook.com, because it was $6.50. I thought that was money well spent. And I'm a web guy. I like building websites, so this gave me an excuse to kind of go all in on that. So it's just because its nature is not officially Microsoft yet.
There you go.
Or like officially sponsored, if you will.
Yeah, because there are other community toolkits, right? Like the Windows Community Toolkit, the Xamarin Community Toolkit. The difference is those are actually backed by like a PM, an engineer that's working on it. It's an official release from Microsoft NuGet. There's some sort of, it is a community toolkit, which means it's like literally nearly completely community driven. However, there's still like a check on it. Like, yes, Microsoft certified, which comes with a lot of other things, I should say. And that's how you put then you put it into the official docs at that point.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't stop us from promoting it any less though.
Right. And so if it does become like an official, if we can get Microsoft to release it, we may want to call it like Visual Studio Community.Toolkit. That might be the NuGet package name. That's a protected name. No one can create a NuGet package starting with the word Visual Studio except Microsoft. So so that could be a change that would come, a rename of, if it becomes like official. And I hope that makes sense. It's not like we want to create a parallel documentation here or anything like that. It's simply just because we want to use the toolkit. We want to use the templates as well, the extensibility template pack. And we want to use the various different extensions that we got. That is all part of the extensibility essentials extension pack. We want to use that. And so like none of that is official, right? But it is a much better story, I'd argue, than not having those things. And so if you would, let's say that you were to write this documentation without any of the tools that we've built together, they would look a lot different. They would not be the same at all. It wouldn't be like if I just go to get started and your first extension, like this is going to be much longer to do that. Right. And much more explanation. Imagine like you go to the VSCT file and you can see here on this screenshot right here. Like we have this thing where we have edit dot, we show in IntelliSense where in the menu it's located. Like if you didn't have that, you would just have like this weird word that was like a weird with underscores and stuff that may not make a lot of sense to you. And you would be a big question mark. And the docs now had to explain some of this stuff and would have to explain where do you go find other monikers you can use, right? Which it doesn't have a good answer to, basically. And so it would just be a very different set of documentation, I think, if that makes sense. So that's why I wanted to do this. I want to do this as holistically so that it's the easiest way to get started using what maybe we think is the right way to do it. Regardless of any other agenda from Microsoft, what they want to do, and or what they have resources to do, right? That's another thing. So, and of course, the goal here is not to take over. So there's a bunch of links from this cookbook that goes to the official Microsoft docs for further explanation and deep dives into certain things that is sort of, I'd say, beyond the scope, either beyond the scope of this, or it's already well documented. Like there are some great documentation among the official Microsoft docs for some things, right? And so let's not cannibalize that. We want to keep that. So, but I really hope, and I urge you to help out. Try to go through this, open issues, send pull requests, or there are discussions on the GitHub repos. They're all enabled. So if you're not comfortable with opening an issue, we can open like a forum thread or whatever instead. So yeah, I hope you will do that, because so far it's just me, and I can't really, I'm too deep into this that it's hard for me to write a tutorial for me. So I have a persona in my head that I'm writing to or writing for. So I'm imagining that person is doing their first extension. And so trying to like think about, okay, what would that person then need to know? And so that's how I kind of get around it. But it's like I'm testing my own code, right? You can't really test your own code. You need someone else to verify it. And that's kind of where I am with this. So, all right. Cool. Do we have any questions about this? No.
GIF or GIF? I say GIF.
GIF
and gist.
GIF. I don't know. GIF. I say GIF. I don't know.
Yeah, I say GIF.
Okay.
I think there's a problem is I switch them because a gist and a GIF, but I do GIF and gist. No, GIF and a gist. Yeah, I do hard G's. GIF and a gist, not GIF and a gist.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, yeah, lots of positive things on here. I don't know. Everyone's doing good positive stuff. Yeah.
So I was thinking that we want to prepare ourselves for Visual Studio 2022. And one way to do that, of course, is that we need to have the Extensibility Essentials extension pack ready for Visual Studio 2022, right? So I've been busy today. I have added support for like around 10 of my extensions now support 2022. Theoretically, I guess. I don't remember how to do this. Is publisher colon? Oh, I said publisher name. Oh, I think it did the right thing. Publisher. Yeah, here we go. I click my nope. Then we say sort by updated date. Okay, so check this out. I've been updating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 extensions today and uploaded them, and they all support 2022. But the funny thing is that the marketplace doesn't. So if I go into one of them, notice here it doesn't say 2022. Whoops, because they don't know what 2022 is yet. They will by the time the first preview of 2022 comes out. So for instance, if you have an extension that only supports 2022, you cannot upload that. It will say there is no target, there's no valid target specified, installation target, because the marketplace is like, I don't know what, this 17.0 means. So, but if your extension also supports an earlier version, then that's valid, right? And so then you're okay. Yeah, it's just kind of weird, I guess.
Good question. Simon asks if you can write extensions using Community Edition of Visual Studio, or do you have to pay for Pro?
Absolutely, you can. Community, yes, absolutely. In fact, there's zero difference between writing extensions in Community, Pro, or Enterprise. It's the exact same tooling you get, specific to the extension development.
Isn't it like Pro and Community are like basically the same, right?
Yeah, Pro and Community is pretty much identical. They're just separated by the license that enables you to do certain things. And with Pro, there are some subscription stuff that gives you a bunch of other benefits. And so yeah. So but Visual Studio itself is they're pretty identical.
Yeah. Here's another good question for you. For all that guide stuff that you just wrote, the cookbook stuff, do you just have an example? Is there examples that you point to with a small extension or like a reference extension for someone that's brand new? I know you're walking through stuff, but are you going to have like a link to a GitHub folder that's like, and here's how you did it? Maybe some of them are not.
Yeah. So for instance, if this is the one that write your first extension, and at the bottom it says you can find the code for this extension in the samples repository. So you click that, and it's the insert GUID that we did. So here. So here's the samples. There's another samples of how do you do tools options.
There you go. And Simon was saying you might want in the README when you say that you need Visual Studio to say any version, including or whatever.
Oh, that's a good.
Just so
idea.
people know. Just so people know.
Yeah.
You never know. We assume.
Okay, so we have this sort of stuff. Oh, I forgot something. I actually uploaded a new version of something else, which is here. Extensibility template pack 2022. But, you have to make it public. I didn't do that. Are you sure you want to make it public? Yes. So now if I hit update, it should show up here somewhere. There it is. So that is to ensure that our community templates are ready for 2022 as well, right? So that's cool. But we need to make an update. We need to fix up extensibility essentials. Here is 2019. We need to make one for 2022. So let's do that. So let's open extensibility essentials. Here we go. And what we have to do is create a new project here called 2022. But let me just open. Do I need to do something fancy here? And share. Should I just copy this? Is that the right way of doing it? I'm just going to do that. I'm going to 2022. And then I'm going to, let's nuke this. Let's nuke the bin and obj folders. I'm going to open CS_proj. Let's move that in here because we want to, what is it that we want to do? We want to make sure that our CS_proj file. Go away. We have a ID, right? Our project GUID should be different. So we should just change this. I'm just going to change the last character here from a C to a D. Now that is updated. Okay, so we should be good. So I should be able to go in here and say add existing project, extensibility essentials, source 2022. Oh, update this one 2022. Here we go. And then we add it. Then we have to go into the V6 manifest and change this 2022. Let's update the GUID here. Just change the last character. Okay, so what do we do when we're doing 2022? So this one is actually using the toolkit extensibility. What is extensibility essentials doing that requires the toolkit? Because it's using it's a toolkit package, and that is because we're using some of it. Oh yeah, okay. I guess it uses sort of that makes sense. Okay. So that's all dandy. So let's see here. So the extensibility toolkit, let's just check the NuGet package references. And there's something important here. So the toolkit here targeting 16, we're going to target 17, which is a pre-release. That's okay. Let's see if that works. Yep. And it's okay. We're expecting there to be some things. Then we go and we also update the build tool. So here's a funny thing. If you build something for Visual Studio 2022, you actually need the latest 17.0 build tools as well. And so that means that I can now build it with the sort of the mechanism of 2022, even though I'm actually in Visual Studio 2019 right now. Okay. Forget and log on failure. We renamed this. We renamed this to fire and forget. But the problem is that I have to update these other NuGet packages as well, which I will do. So this is 16. So that we take the latest version of 16. Here we go. Update that. And for 2017, we kind of go ahead and do the same thing. 15 here. There we go.
This is actually really interesting because I think Simon's kind of asking about like if all the code is identical, could you use a shared code project instead of having, multiple files? I'm not sure exactly what he's asking, but we multi-target for like Xamarin Essentials. We're like, here, pump out these multiple. You have to have, it looks like you have 3 projects, one for each version, and then actually a shared code project, which is fascinating because when you showed shared code projects as, except for in the instance where basically different versions of .NET Standard are unsupported or whatever on different things. Like you couldn't use .NET Standard because those APIs, you want to if def. But like with .NET MAUI, actually everything is multi-targeted. But like, could you multi-target this or no? Because like, what's the difference between this 2017, 2019, and 2022, I guess?
Yeah, right. Yeah, let's talk about that, because that's actually confusing this time around.
Yeah.
The story there used to be simpler, but because of the whole 64-bit and the way the breaking changes come into the interrupt assemblies, that makes 2022 special when it comes to multi-targeting, if you will. And I've run into some issues when I've been doing my stuff here. So, and by doing my stuff, I mean updating some of my extensions to support 2022. So when we target, let's see here. You can, the general guidance is that if you want to target, if you have an extension that targets, let's say 2019, and now you want to add support for 2022, you need to add 2 separate V6s, one for 2022 and one for 2019. And the one for 2019 is probably compatible with earlier versions too. So it might support 2017 and 19, but it can't do that and support 2022. Now there's a bunch of exceptions to that where it might actually work, which I have a bunch where it does work. But the general guidance is that, you know, or if you're doing just even remotely complex things, you're gonna have to split your projects. You can't multi-target the same V6 and say it supports 2017, 2019, and 2022. So what you do is that you separate your code base. You basically take all your C# that you've got in your V6 project and you put it into a shared project. Just like, that's exactly what I have here. This is exactly the sort of the idea, a shared project. And this shared project is referenced from all my head projects, from my V6 projects, which basically just means that it includes the C# that's here and compiles it into those projects. And so the difference that I have between these is what version of the SDK I'm referencing. And as long as there's no breaking changes in the APIs, that shared project is going to work just fine. And so for 2022 and 19, a lot of there are breaking changes. And some of them doesn't require any syntax changes. You don't have to change your code. So even though they're breaking, it's because of the way the interrupt assemblies work. So they're breaking changes behind the scenes, but your code does not change between what works in 2019 and what works against 2022. It's when you compile it and the types and the services that you use and all that sort of stuff, and how interrupt works, that makes the difference. So I've come across, like, especially if you use the DTE, then things seem to break for me, and I have to like split things out into, before 2022 and 2022, having separate V6s. And that's just because the DTE is like changed, I find, like in a quite significant way. And so that's unfortunate. So you don't have to update your code. That's the same. But if you reference the 16.0 version of the SDK and you run it in Visual Studio 2022, it won't work. It'll just crash and burn. So, and vice versa. You can't do it the other way either. And that's just very unfortunate. So, and that's actually something I forgot to mention. So what I think we need to do with the toolkit is, this is actually a good opportunity to figure out how do we start getting off of the DTE. I've always been a big fan of the DTE, and I still am. But now I can kind of see how it's going to be a little bit problematic. And, from Microsoft's perspective, they've kind of wanted people to not use the DTE for a long time because it's not maintained and it's not necessarily following best practices. And so the toolkit is all about best practices. So we actually have an opportunity here to say, okay, how do we get people off of the DTE onto something that is following best practices, that's as easy to use and as powerful. And I think we're in a good position to do that, together. So
Nice. Yeah,
yeah.
and then shared projects are unique things too, because like MZG was saying, like, shared projects, they don't have build, like they're just, what your shared projects actually are. It's linked. It's a way of simply doing linked files.
Yep,
That's
that's it.
all it is. Instead of
Mhm.
having like a linking every single file, you're doing that. So what happens here is when you use this, right, it recompiles that code every time. This is like one thing that's like uniquely different about a .NET Standard library versus a shared code project for using them in an application, and why actually we don't recommend. Oh, hold on, let me do this here. And this is why we and this is why we don't recommend using shared projects anymore, is because let's say you make a code file change in your project. The problem is that you'll actually, since it's linking all the code to your iOS or Android or Windows app or Mac app or whatever app, things aren't smart enough. It has to recompile the entire DLL, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why like .NET Standard or just a .NET Class library going forward is such an advantageous approach, because now that it's standardized, if you make a single line of code change, you only have to recompile that DLL and reinsert it into the actual application. It's much, much faster. So that's why we don't use shared projects anymore. But multi-targeting also gets around that, because multi-targeting is a DLL at the end of the day. But the cool part is that you can conditionally compile code based on platforms, et cetera, et cetera. And that has been story time on sharing code with James.
Thank you, James. Yeah, we can't really do that here, because if we compile it, we have to compile it against a certain SDK version, and that's the whole problem. Is that we need to do that, and they have to be different for each v6. Okay, so anyway, so that was 2022. We need to add a few more things, or do one more thing, because right now, if we look at the XML here, okay, so right now it supports Visual Studio 16, from 16.0 up to, but not including 17. Okay, so that means it supports 2019, and we really want this to support 17 and 18. But I don't know if you remember from a month ago when we talked about how to do this. What we need to do is to do, actually, I'm going to do something else, because I'm not allowed, I cannot actually upload this to the marketplace, as I was telling you before. What I have to do is I have to still support 2019. And then I have to, and then what is that? I'm just going to open one that I did earlier in here. So V6 manifest, dude, F7. Oh, where did that go? Ah, okay. So that's wonderful. So let's just open it in here then. So we have to specify basically that, and I don't know if this is actually going to survive, but for right now, this is the case. We have to say that our product architecture is 64-bit. Yeah. So we have to copy that in there. So I'm now saying that I support version 16 and I support version 17 64-bit. If I don't have this in there, it just assumes 32-bit or whatever, but I don't have that installed, so that should just not work. Okay, so let's try to build this now. Let's do a rebuild of 2022. And it says it failed for what's up with let's close everything. What was the problem? All right, come on, you can do it. It hasn't got. Oh no! Get deployment path from v6 manifest. Joinable task factory from assembly. Build tasks. Didn't I update this already? I thought I updated this already. So, oh, I can never figure out. Is that the one or is it down here? No, it must be this one. Yeah. Build task 16.9, and this is this is 20. This is the 21.19 that's complaining. Oh, interesting. That means I can build it 2022. Is that right? Now that's complaining too. Project. They're both complaining. Okay. What's that about? 16.9. So let's go 2020. Let's check the NuGet packages here. What's going on? What's going on now? Build tools. 16.9. We always use the latest version of the build tools for the SKU we're building in. You know, SDK extension. I'm just going to restart Visual Studio. You know? Sometimes that works. So there's a question there. Oh, hang on. No, wait. What is this? Yeah, that's fine. So when we're using the Visual Studio SDK for 17, that's in preview. We're going to get all these kind of weird inconsistencies. That's okay. Oh, my build is a week old. That's very rare that I don't update my builds. What is going on? But they're just warnings, though. I'm okay with that. Okay, so that build. Well, everything built then. It just needed a good old restart, hopefully. You know, sometimes they get stuck in those NuGet package references to the build tools. I don't know if it's because msbuild.exe is like lingering and like it's warmed up using the old NuGet package build tools or something like that. But then sometimes if you just like restart Visual Studio, that fixes everything up. Oh my God, it said build succeeded. So now if I go in here and I run this V6, why does it say 2019? Oh, snafu. Hang on. Because this. So now I want it to, 2022. Thank you. So even though I got an error, it kind of works. So that's weird. Okay, so we're now supporting two things, right? We decided that we're supporting both. Where we go? 2019 and 2022. So if I double click this, I might have to update the version number. Oh, it's already good. So now it should want to install. I have 2022 installed, so it should ask me to install on both. Let's see. 2019, 2022. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Boom. 2022. But in which SKU does it want to install in 2022 or into 2019? It doesn't say. What?
Those are interesting buttons.
These are very Windows Vista like or whatever. Windows XP. It's XP, right? This is XP.
I think so.
The VC. This is kind of annoying that I can't see. Okay, so let's do something. Let's remove the support for this. So now it only supports 17. I'm still getting like this weird 2019, but it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Why no dark theme, Benny asks. Because it's when presenting, the dark theme is not very good. It can be hard to see like on a screen when you're presenting stuff. So it's generally considered a best practice when presenting to use one of the lighter themes. So I'm just going to nuke this one because let's just get rid of all these because I just want to make sure that we actually get an update. Here we go. So it says rebuild all failed, yet it worked. Okay, so if we get the same dialog, that means that it works for 2022. Let's see here. It might say, hey, not applicable to any of your products. Like, oh. So yeah, so see, it works. So here's actually an interesting thing. Notice that the list now is shorter because these are the only, wow, this is interesting. So the marketplace actually supports this. So these are the extensions that I have updated and uploaded to the marketplace that supports 2022. And the V6 installer, which is this dialog right here. I mean, I'm sorry, you can't see anything. James, you should tell me.
You should probably zoom in.
Thank you. So these are the ones that actually supports it. So that what the V6 installer does when it sees an extension pack, right? The extension pack here is the Extensibility Essentials that we're working on. It sees all the child extensions, and it goes to the marketplace and say, hey, do you have these that applies to this SKU, to this version of Visual Studio? And the marketplace can then reply back if that's true or not. And in this case, it just replies back to the ones that are updated. So even though the marketplace doesn't support 2022 as such, it supports it in this scenario. So that's kind of neat. Wow. Okay. So that works. Here's the list of extensions. So far, let's go through which ones I haven't been able to convert. This is one, the Known Monikers Explorer. I can tell you why. This one had two issues. Known Monikers Explorer. It's this particular one right here. It shows you all the known monikers in Visual Studio. The reason for that one is there were two things. One was that it appears that a tool window cannot, if a tool window is defined using the VSSDK 15.0 or 16.0, that will not be able to load running in Visual Studio 2022. So you have to split the extension into, make a specific one for 2022. And once you then use the SDK for 17, that works fine. So that was one issue. The other issue was that the way that it uses the known monikers in Visual Studio, it uses the image service. And the image service also has some issues. Any interrupt that required embedding before does not work in 2022, because in 2022 you no longer have to embed your interrupt types. And so again, if you are using any services where they come from an interrupt type, then you have to split your extension. Or drop support for the older version. Like you could say, hey, I only want to support 2022 going forward. That's up to you. So I only made the conversion now of extensions where they would work on both 2019 and 2022. And known monikers is not one of them. Luckily, V6 Synchronizer is. So that was kind of cool. Setting Store Explorer, that's not mine, but I'm pretty sure that that has not been updated yet. That's Paul Harrington's. Insert GUID. I actually had to rewrite this one. It should be there. It should work. The problem with insert GUID was that it used, I think that was an interrupt thing as well. Your image manifest tools doesn't work because of the image service for the known monikers, or for monikers. And again, the interrupt type stuff. So yeah, image optimizer works. So that's wonderful. Command Explorer, I didn't actually try, but it's not been updated, so I can do that. Clear MEF component cache. I had to update and rewrite a bunch of stuff there. It used the DTE, and it used the component model, the I component model, to get to the MEF where on disk MEF was stored, like the folder. But I can just use the package class for that. I didn't need, so I kind of rewrote it. So I removed some dependencies. But so this was one that technically was not gonna work between 2019 and 2022, but a rewrite of some of the stuff made it work just fine. So that's wonderful. VSCT IntelliSense, I haven't done that yet. That one actually works except for one thing, and that is that it uses the image service to show IntelliSense for our known monikers in the VSCT file, right? When we put an icon on a button or whatever. I want to show, like in the tooltip, what that icon looks like, and I can't do that. So this is another one where I have to make that code split. Extensibility logs, Jan, this one is yours, my friend. And so you can't verify this until you get preview 1 of 2022. So that can't be there yet. Package dev language, that's just a text-made thing. That's good. Extensibility template pack. That one I just uploaded, right? That's the one we just flipped to public. So that's good too. Text-made grammar, I updated that one too, so we're good. Extensibility margin. Oh man, what was it with that? Did I make it work? Did I? I think I did not. I don't think I did. What was the problem with that one? No. What was the problem with that one? That was there we go. Okay, so this is it. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. So let's recompile 2022. Let's rebuild that. And so now what we should get is all this is for more. What's wrong with that? Is there a? I might have a syntax error. No. What's wrong? What's wrong? I want to release this on the marketplace today. This is not a valid package. Okay, so something. Nope. What is this? This is 2022. What's the matter? Why is it not a valid package? Extension 4. What is that? 4C could not be found. That's this one. Oh, do we just have to restart Visual Studio again? Is it one of those things? I think so. Let's do this again. Okay, and this time we're building just 2022. Come on, you can do it. Build. What is going on? What's going on, everybody? Please make sure the extension has been installed. It's talking about, is it because the deployment is failing? We'll just have to go up one, make one higher. It could be that we're just like, there's something here with the versioning or. Extension could not be found. Hey, everybody, what does this error mean? The extension could not be found. That extension, that's the one we have right here. What? This error message makes no sense. And why now? Here, let's nuke that, and then let's try this again. Oh, Jan says that you have the same problem in 2019. What is going on? Okay. So what if we go in here and take out MS build? Let's see if that has anything to do with anything. So what happened between now and just before? Well, what makes this invalid? Let's take a look. We have our v6 manifest. Let's just open this. And the build tools is, so the build tools have to be 2017. That should be fine. Yeah, I'm just going to downgrade this one and see what happens. I feel like it's something obvious that I just can't figure out. Cannot, oh, because it's open here. Yeah, okay. It's weird how it file logs whenever you open 7-zip. It file logs. Get deployment path from failed. Extension host. Build test 17. Is it because I have to actually use 17? But the weird thing is that it worked on when I run it on my CI server. And that does not have 17 installed or 2022 installed. So this is just highly weird. Do this just for the fun of it. I'm just gonna uncomment my v6. Let's see here. So is it now valid? Maybe. What is going on? And there's nothing wrong here. I mean, it could totally be if there was a syntax error in here, but I don't think there is. Oh, you know what? Oh, I'm an idiot. I knew this. I actually knew this. Silly me.
This is my favorite part, is when you realize that you've been trying to debug something, but you actually already knew what was wrong the entire time.
Yeah. So it's kind of silly. I think I opened a bug on this a long time ago, but I do believe that comments are not allowed in an extension pack, which is annoying because there's no reason for it, since they probably use JSON.NET to parse this anyway. And you can say, you know, strip comments or whatever, and they didn't. So let's now try. It failed. That's okay, but does it work? See, now it works. See, that would have been a nice error message to get, right? Instead of invalid. Okay, so we got a bunch of things. What didn't we get here? Insert GUID is there. V6 synchronized. Are there only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Is that what we got here? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 7. Okay, so which one didn't we have? Did we have that one? Insert GUID. Which one was missing? Oh. And then let's figure out. So I might have not uploaded it correctly to the marketplace or something like that. Let's just see here. Extensibility template pack. No, that should be fine. It is the extensibility template pack that's not there. Yeah. What's up with that? So let's just open a new extensibility template pack. I thought I fixed that up. Or maybe I didn't release it. Let's take a look. See, extensibility template pack 2022. And the V6 manifest of that. Here, it should be fine, right? That looks the same as the others. Oh, but I have it installed. No, I don't have it installed on. Okay, so if we go to the marketplace, extensibility. Was it template pack? Extensibility template. It's right here. What's that about? Extensibility template pack edit. Well, that's not going to tell me anything. 229. That is the latest one. Supports Visual Studio. Where is it? 2019. Yeah, so you see here, it doesn't have 2022 yet. So that's kind of odd that that is the one that didn't go through. This looks right. Is it because it doesn't have the right NuGet package version? Build to no, it has the actual latest. So that no, okay. Well, that's odd, as it were. So let's go and update our NuGet package again to be the latest. And then I'm going to check this in. So that means that we at least have what we got right here, our templates and everything ready for when the first preview hits. I think I just need to update my build script. Yep. So what is that? 2022? Okay. So let's do that. So what did we do? We added VS 2022 support. Or actually, it's a version of that we did, right? Jan is right. Jan, your comment about the ID and the extension, that's exactly it. So let's go extensibility 2022. I don't know if you actually know this, but if you go and you look on the gallery, sorry, the marketplace, copy ID right here. When you click that, it copies the product ID, and now we can go back here and paste that in here. I have a feeling that it's going to be, instead of 41, it's going to say 42. That's right.
Everybody's very excited that it's going to be 2022 too.
Is that what I wrote?
Apparently that's what you wrote. It's in the future.
In the future. Okay, so let's see here. I do have on the other screen, I have my app bear build going. Oh, it passed. It passed. So that means extensibility, it did not pass. Ew. What's going on up here? Oh yeah. Now that's oh, you people are so clever. 2022. So what did we do? We fixed. And I'm like the worst. I'm just going to say updated. Then I'm going to hit Control Enter. What does Control Enter mean? Hurry, hurry. Anyone know? Anyone know? It means commit and push. So if we go back here, the build is running. This is very exciting. All right, just thinking about it. Here we go. Come on. You can do it. All right, publish to the V6 gallery. What? Which one failed? 114. Oh, I'm guessing it's this one. Why did that one fail? Cannot index into a null array. Yeah, right. I wouldn't do that either. What did I do wrong? Was it just a fluke in the matrix? I think it was just a fluke in the matrix. Let's just rebuild that. Okay. So anyway, so that works. So I should be able to come in here and say, let's see, what is it that we want to do? We want to go back. We don't want to. We want to upload a new extension. And it's going to be kind of the same as, which one is this? 2019. So I'm just going to go say edit on this one because I want. Let's download extension. What is this? 2022. Let's download this one. So I want to come in here and I want to copy everything. And then we want to upload new extension. Extensibility 2022. Continue on. Extensibility Essentials 2022. Boop, boop. Exciting. And categories, I guess it's an extension pack. That's exciting and so on. And let's do V6. And it's free. Yeah, it's free. Free for now. Thank you. Extensive VSSDK. Oh, it has some more tags here. I should add those. VSSDK, extensibility. Boom. And the URL is there. Go. No version select. Oh, right. No version selected. I wonder if so. Yeah, so I need this. Okay. I mean, I'll have to remove it eventually, right? So now we're adding support for VS 2019. That's not really true. Can I just upload a new one? Yeah, I can. Okay, so let's see here. So one thing I found in 2022 when I'm building extensions, when I hit F5, to start the experimental instance and, attach the debugger, I've noticed that is like so much faster. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's the attaching the debugger that's faster or if it's the deployment when, you run your build of the V6 project itself or whatever it is. But it's like just surprisingly fast. It's like, whoa. So I hope that whatever performance benefit that is still there for preview one. Oh, so now, okay, so now that works. So we can go in here and hit F5. And let's get 2022, download that thing. We can go back to, get the latest of this one. Is that the same? Why is it the same version number? Why is that the same version number? That should be, that's the whole point of what I'm doing up here. Increment V6 version. Oh well. Is that because it's not the newest? 1.14. There we go. I just didn't do an update or something like that. So now I should be able to go in here, get that. And now we are really. Is this a feature?
Is that a taxi? I don't think so. It's gonna get you.
Traffic lights. You just love these. I have never seen that on the marketplace before. Okay, so that's kind of funny. Let's just check that that we get the extensibility template pack in here too. I think I did do a build. Maybe I didn't build it after I made that change. Let's see. I didn't build it. So let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, so we're setting ourselves up for like success by the time that the first preview of 2022 comes out. And I don't know about you, James, but I find that is very exciting.
About what? 2022?
Yeah, that we're gonna be ready, like the extensibility,
Oh,
all the tooling, all the toolkit, the docs, all the. It's
when we
all
get
like
it, I'm ready. Give me
it's
it.
all right. Look, it showed up.
Boom.
Thank you, Jan, for pointing out that I probably changed the ID, which is exactly what I did. So wonderful. What else? What else? What are we waiting for? We're waiting for this to verify, so we can make it public. Cool. What do you think, James?
You did it. You're ready for 2022. Now no one can run it yet besides you.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed that you have it installed on this machine and you're very I always have my button my ready to click on remove screen at any time just in case that 2022 randomly came up.
So I'm just hiding my desktop because I'm gonna open Visual Studio 2022 and I'm not allowed to show you. Sorry.
Oh, I can see it. Oh, I see it. I see it in the bottom.
I want to see if the extension manager dialog in Visual Studio will show me stuff online. It will not. There's just nothing. Okay. So the V6 installer, for some reason, supports 2022, but Visual Studio 2022 does not from the marketplace. Yet I do have an update.
Well, you said it didn't know about 2022 yet.
I do have an update for live share.
Well, that's good.
But they no longer come up in notifications. I don't know if you've noticed. So we've removed the notifications for live share and a couple of other extensions so that they don't bother you anymore. But you can still see that there's an update if you go to the extension manager dialog. Okay, I'm now closing out of 2022. I think that you're going to love 2022, by the way. Everyone listening or watching. It's a great product, I will say. I didn't think that the whole 64-bit or whatever was going to change much because I don't open huge solutions. It just feels better. It really does. Like more smooth, more fast. I don't know. Have you played around with it much, James?
I have not. No, I'm not living on the edge like you. I'm not a great dog fooder.
Oh, okay.
But maybe soon.
Yeah.
Need to get on that. I was so bad. I used to I ebb and flow through the dog fooding. For people who don't know, dog fooding is we internal test all of our bits ahead of time, and like there's actually like a reporting thing, so you can see there's like a dog food site. I think we can see like if internally we dog food.
Yeah,
and mine is at 0.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think that's bad.
I am I'm listed as what's called deeply engaged on both Visual Studio 2019 latest nightly builds or whatever, and Visual Studio 2022.
Well, you know, I'm a manager now, so
yeah, you don't have time for that sort of stuff.
So that's the thing is, and on my machines where I do code, I'm logged in with my personal account because it's away from work time. So I'm not dogfooding on those accounts. So
okay. So are there any questions from the audience here before we call it a day? I guess, or a morning if you're in. I know that Jan and Steven there are like hanging out down there in Australia. But I think we got around. We got around like different things. So I really want you to check out the V6 community. Okay. So James, can you put up that link to the github.com/V6 community? Seriously, folks, let's double down on this. This is the biggest thing in extensibility in my 10 years of writing extensions, at least. So,
and it all happened here.
And it all happened here live.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well, let's see. I think that we have good people internally that really backs the idea, and so I think next Friday will go really well with the directors, and I think they're going to like it.
Jan wants to know why Tweaks is still in preview.
I saw another extension of mine that was in preview. Maybe it was the extensibility margin. And I'm like, it's because I forget to remove it out of preview. That's it.
You know what you need is when you build. This is a good question for you. How it works is, let's say you build version 1.0.1. Let's say 1.0.0 preview. Is it like NuGet where you put like dash, whatever, like dash beta or whatever? Because like when I build my NuGets, right, I build like two NuGets. I build a beta one and then a real one. And then in my CI/CD pipeline, I always publish the preview every single build, basically, right? And then that I think is good enough on main. But then when it's ready, I just in the same CI pipeline as publish the new one. Like, do VisX have like a dash beta, or would you have to bump it? So every time you'd have to build like a 100 and a 101, basically.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I use a build server for that, so it's like not a big deal. But the preview, it's because I think Tweaks is still like version 0.5 point something, and so you could argue that if once I do 1.0, then should I be able to build with the preview flag on? I don't know. Or why even have a preview flag? Why not just do what you're saying and support like the dash pre at the end of your version string or something? I don't know. It's a hard one. I think we're good. I don't think it matters. No. It doesn't matter to me personally. And I haven't heard anyone except for you right now mentioning this. So we added the preview flag because people wanted a way to make it clear in the UI that something was in preview. And I think the cheapest way of doing that was to add a new flag in the V6 manifest to specify that, because I think otherwise the marketplace has to be updated, the V6 validator has to be updated, the V6 installer has to be updated, Visual Studio has to be updated. And what about previous versions of Visual Studio? What happens if an extension on the marketplace all of a sudden has dash pre in the version, and it has always supported, let's say, Visual Studio 2015? What if Visual Studio 2015 like basically chokes if it sees an invalid version? Right? Because we can't like update those old Visual Studio versions anymore. So that's probably why they did. Like, I assume that's why. I'm guessing. I have no idea. It happened while I was PM for Extensibility, but I don't remember the technical details of why it was not a semantic versioning thing. I know Jan is big into semantic versioning, but yeah, so are a lot of people. What else? When developing Visual Studio, are 2019 and 2020 repos completely separate or not? Do 2019 updates automatically merge to 2022? I'm not sure I understand this question.
You're talking about internally, like is just 20. I think MZG is asking, like, is 2022 a branch of?
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea, and I don't know if I can say how any of that internal stuff works.
I think the main branch is now 2022, and I think the 2019 is now a separate branch. Because I used to be on the latest nightly build of main, which was the latest of 2019, and all of a sudden I stopped getting updates. Like, what's going on? I got like 10 updates a day, and now I got 0. And it's because the main is now 2022, which is, you can't just, that's a separate install basically. So no, so if there's a fix to, but whatever goes into 2019, we also make sure goes into 2022. So so whatever you see shipped in 1610 or 1611, that is all going to be in 2022 as well.
Yeah. So to his question here, if it's in 2019, it's in 2022.
Correct. We are deprecating a few things that haven't been used, or there might be some changes there. But let's say we introduced a feature in like at some point. If we introduced a feature in 2019, we're not. Yeah, well, anytime in 2019, we're not deprecating that for 2022. But we might have had a feature that was super old and no one used, then that might have gotten killed in 2022. And the same with the SDK, right? So for instance, the image service interface, IVS image service, and the IVS image service 2. In 2022, there's only IVS image service 2. We deprecated the old one. It's gone. So, from an API perspective, we do deprecate things that are not being used as well. So it's not just features like for the end user; it's also for us as extenders. But we don't do that lightly, and we don't do that if they're being used. But it's like the image service is super old, and the image service 2 came in Visual Studio either 12, 13, or 15. It's been like the better part of a decade since it was introduced. So. All right. What else? Is that it? I think we got around to it all, James.
I think you did it. I think you're back. You're back.
I just can't wait till 2022 ships so we can move our focus over to 2022 and just use that. I'm probably going to uninstall 2019 just because why even have it at that point? I like to be on the edge. The thing about when you're on the edge and you're internal at Microsoft, you're forced to use whatever is the latest product, and that means that when you run into issues, you're completely blocked if you don't have the older version installed, and so you're chasing down the people that can fix those things. So I actually find that to be both annoying but also like a nice forcing function to get things fixed. So yeah, cool. Yeah, I got a sofa. It's the sofa from our bedroom because we're expecting a third kid here, baby, in August, and so it's like, okay, let's get the crib set up in the bedroom, right? But that's where the couch was, so then we put the couch in here, and then my chair that I had here, I moved into another room where I actually had it originally before I redid my garage here. So it all works out. This one is better for naps in the middle of the day. So cool.
There you go. Done.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. This was fantastic to be back. I hope to see you again next week. And as always, if you have any ideas for what we should talk about, what we should be doing, hit me up on Twitter or follow that link that James has put on the screen. And then we'll take it from there. Cool. See you next time.